Hello and welcome to this pre-lab video. This is the pre-lab for our critical thinking assignment for this semester, the municipal water data analysis. So the reason we have this assignment, every single course that is allowing you for general ed credit here at VU has to have a critical thinking assignment. And ours is this particular lab, and this covers all of general chemistry, so all of Chem 105. So what we're doing in this particular activity is we are going to collect some data using a contrived scenario here, and we're going to collect some data, use the data that we collect to analyze this problem that is going to be presented to us, and then do some research to figure out a solution, or in better terms, two solutions to this problem that we are faced with, and choosing the one that works the best for us. So that's what this project is at its core. Now, I'm going to go through in this video some of the pieces and parts that you're going to do and walk you through the pre-lab so that you can complete that assignment on time. So let's talk with the scenario itself. We are asking you to imagine that you are in charge of a small town in southwestern Indiana. Could be Vincennes, could be Princeton, could be wherever you're from. And that, I guess, would include southwestern Illinois or southeastern Illinois as well. As the mayor of this town, you have heard numerous complaints from your residents about the declining water quality. And so you decide to hire out water quality tests on the tap water. And the kicker here is you are going to conduct the tests yourself instead of hiring an outside company to do it. Now, based upon the complaints of the people in your town, you've narrowed down all the possible options. And believe me, there are lots of options. I'll show you a document here in a minute that has all the different possible contaminants, both organic, inorganic, and biological, that you could find in water. But we're going to narrow it down to these 8. Total chlorine, copper, fluoride, iron, manganese, nitrates, sulfates, and zinc. So these are the 4 primary sources of contamination that we have narrowed our focus down to. And so you'll be testing for these 8 items. Now, from a safety standpoint, there isn't too much to be concerned with this lab in particular, other than the fact that the water is not potable, so please do not drink it. And there are some of the reagents that do contain either strong oxidizers, or in the case of the zinc test, it contains potassium cyanide. So we're going to be extra careful with this test. So this is going to be full gloves, full goggles, everything. Also means that when it comes to waste disposal, almost everything's going to be able to go down the drain, but the cyanide waste from the zinc test is going to have to be collected. For your pre-lab, you're going to have to do some of the initial research. This is a pre-lab assignment that's relatively easy to do. It is not a group assignment, though. And so all that you're going to need to do, and this particular website has everything that you need in it. But what you're going to do is go to this website. And on this website, it's going to give you a PDF. There it is. And this PDF is going to list, again, this is every possible contamination that the EPA has regulations for. And so some of these are organics, and you can see that organics are listed by this particular substance here. Radiological, which has the trefoil symbol here. Antimony or arsenic, all these symbols here indicate inorganic samples. You've got also chemical samples here from disinfection. So that's what these mean. So you've got a legend here that kind of tells you what is what. All you need to do is find the regulations. So this second column for each one of the substances. So for chlorine, it would be 4.0 and milligrams per liter squared here. That is also known as parts per million. So chlorine, the limit is 4 parts per million. For copper, the limit is 1.3 parts per million. Scrolling down, fluoride, it's 4 parts per million. Lead, iron. So you can get everything out of this particular table. That's what you're trying to do here. And so all you need to do for the pre-lab is put in the standards, whether they are primary or secondary, and give a citation. And the citation, you should be able to find all of them in this table. So give this website and cite it as properly as you can. The actual procedure that you're going to do, we will give you instructional manuals for how to conduct these 8 tests. And you'll be using something called a spectrophotometer. Now, spectrophotometers are things that you are going to see in particular in the first lab of the week, where we're going to kind of use them for the first time. So you should be a lot more familiar with them by the time you come around to this lab later in the week. But you're given a procedure here that tells you how to collect all the data, what to do if your sample comes in as over range, meaning that it's too concentrated to be detected. There's a way to get around that by doing a dilution. And then your data analysis is doing this comparison. What did you measure? What was considered safe? And then why do we care? You know, what ones are too high? What ones are too low? Are there any potential risks? As far as deliverables are concerned, there are going to be 2 things that you submit. So the procedure itself is going to be done with you and a partner. And so you and your partner together can submit this one report in Blackboard. And what we're looking for here, this is a 30-point assignment. What we're looking for here are just some general things, a general procedure. So you do not have to outline every single test and all of the steps that you took for each test, but rather a general procedure that explains what it is that you did and how you collected the data. And then you present the data. You take this data table and you drop it into your report, and you compare your results and make some primary conclusions. So how do you get graded? Where do the 30 points come from? Well, part of the points come from just, having a professional appearance. It looks good. It's formatted properly. You get 6 points for the procedure section. Did you write it correctly? Is it in past tense, passive voice? Did you give a detailed enough description that people know what it is that you did? Did you put in the data table? Is it properly put in? Are the concentrations accurate? Are the units accurate? For the conclusion section, did you write up a conclusion? Did you talk about what the results mean? And then finally, did you do your citations properly? Are they formatted in MLA or APA format? Did you actually cite anything? Which you should, because that's where the EPA standards are coming from. And then finally, you know, is the report well written? Are there typos? Are there spelling mistakes? Are there grammar mistakes? So all that will fit in. Now, this particular technician's report, the group report that you and your partner are going to write, this assignment will be due first. And there is no drafting stage for this. You're just going to write it and turn it in. And you won't get an opportunity to resubmit. So make sure that it meets all the criteria when you submit it. The second assignment, the quote unquote bigger assignment here, is something that we call the mayor's report. Now that you have the technician's report written, you know what is wrong with the water. You know what the potential issues are that are going to be caused by the water being the way that it is. Now you have to get into writing about how you're going to fix it. And so the mayor's report has 5 different sections. There's a section where you introduce the problem, you detail what problems there are, what issues exist, why they exist. Here's where, again, where you're going to throw in that data table from the technician's report. Kind of summarize the analysis of that. So if you did a good job with the technician's report, you can kind of pull the last 2 sections from that report, and that becomes your introduction to the mayor's report. The second part, solutions. You are to research 2 different ways to solve the problem. Now, these different ways, there's a lot of information out there. There are lots of ways to go about cleaning up dirty water. Some of them are at the local level. Some of them are at the house level. So doing things like putting in reverse osmosis systems or individual filtration systems, those kinds of things. The problem can also be handled in a variety of ways at the municipal level, at the citywide level. Modifications to your wastewater treatment plant. Different techniques for getting rid of certain kinds of contaminants. So you need to research 2 of these solutions. And for each solution, you need to write about 2 paragraphs that describe what it is that the solution is, and kind of as much information as you can include about that solution. So how does it solve the problem? How much does it cost? Is it particularly invasive? Does it require a lot of maintenance? Is the maintenance costly? Will this solution create jobs in your town? Will this solution take jobs away in the town? All of those things need to be kind of in this section. And closely related to it is this third section about influences and biases. So from those standpoints, why would people support one mode of fixing the problem versus another? What kind of particular reasons would you have for fixing the water the way that you're going to? So, do you have environmental concerns? Do you have financial concerns? Do you have a problem with raising taxes in your town? All of these things could come into play here. After kind of examining the problem, looking at all the solutions from all of the different angles, the 4th section here is your position statement. Here is where you are going to discuss the potential solutions weigh the strengths and weaknesses, and ultimately make a decision about which solution you are going to utilize for your town. And then the last section is just about kind of summarizing everything and looking at the implications. So now that you've chosen this particular step, this particular way to solve the problem, what does that mean for you and for your town? Are there any drawbacks to that solution in terms of financial or from a tax standpoint, from a job standpoint? Are there negative side effects that are possible? You'll be graded according to this rubric. Now, one thing to understand about this particular rubric is that full credit for the rubric, to get your 40 points, all you need to do is meet the middle standard for each of the lines in the rubric itself. So if you can hit acceptable for all 6 parts of the report and do the little things like format it properly, make sure that it doesn't have typos, that is a 100% for this particular assignment. Now, there are 2 rubric levels greater than this. That would require that you do a little bit better research, you think about the problem a little bit more fully, and if you complete those, you actually can get some bonus points here. But it is going to require more work on your part. So this second writing assignment, this one will be due later than the first one. And so if you look ahead to the schedule, you'll see that after this week coming up, we're going to have another one of those writing session days where you're going to have the ability to spend some time and work on the assignment itself. And whether that means, just kind of sitting down and putting pen to paper, or presenting me with a draft and I can go through it with you and give you some feedback in the moment. This will give you the opportunity to actually do some work and get some feedback before the first deadline. And the first deadline I will post in Blackboard and give you information on in Lab Archives as well. But understand that it will be after the technician's report. The technician's report will be due on our normal Monday due date. This will be due sometime later, probably the next Monday, but it depends on the schedule. So that's the lab that we are looking at for our critical thinking assignment. If you have any questions, if you need any help with the pre-lab assignment or kind of getting started in the writing process, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you. But have a good day.